There's a big rig sitting in the parking lot, an 18-wheeler, which is usually 9 on each side. The driver squeezes his big fat tattooed belly in behind the wheel, and you can hear the roar of the diesel squeal. He drops her into one of 32 gears. Oh, for gosh sakes, he stalled it. 99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer. I don't care what anybody says. It's my den, I'll decorate it the way I want. Oh, I like to go out after dark and fire my gun just for a lark. It's a hobby most other folks find strange. But I like the mysterious thrill I got, never knowing exactly what I shot. Except for that time I forgot to park my van out of range. Late last night, there was a knock on my door. It was a bunch of aliens, many of whom I'd never seen before. They looked like us, but they didn't ask me for money. And that's how I knew they were aliens. If I had the wings of an angel, none of my clothes would fit. So instead, I'll have the wings of a chicken, with medium sauce and a large draft. The ant goes crawling down the side of the road, straining under his heavy load. Just as he gets his hill in sight, here comes my shoes, right, left, right. His journey home is now kaput. He only missed it by a foot. The rope that hangs from the old oak tree was once the noose for Arlo McGee. He hanged for 3 days, quite a long duration. The wind swung him around like a bird feeding station. And this is one of the songs they sung for a man who wasn't well-groomed or well-behaved, but certainly well-hung. A-roving, 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 a-rove. I'm going to go a-roving, a-roving, a-rove. A-roving, a-roving, it's gonna be swell. I have no idea what the hell it is, but I hear it pays pretty well. To marry later in life, I know how you can find a good wife. A woman with savvy, who knows the score. A woman who's seen it all before. Oh, marry a widow, someone who can't be fooled. Listen, kiddo, you're the kind who needs to be ruled. A widow will scare you like nobody can, especially if she killed her first old man.
Bacon drippings, bacon drippings, bacon drippings, bacon. If you want to call your song Bacon Drippings, I'm sorry it's been taken.
Excellent, that went better than I'd hoped.
It's a beautiful morning of a beautiful day. There's dew in the meadow while others dew on the hay. Good morning to the sparrow, good morning to the dove. Good morning to the men as we sit down for supper. Oh, for gosh sakes, I slept in. Oh, we're out here squashing beer cans in the middle of the night. They blow up like tomatoes if the van just hits them right. Yes, we love to squash those beer cans and drive them into the ground. We just squashed a can of Perrier. We're obviously getting too close to town. If I have a big important job to do, the kind of job I'd rather not do, I have a little trick and I'll teach it to you to make the job go whoppity-boo. Walk away, walk away. Leave the damn job for another day. Cut yourself some slack, have a cold one, have a nap. Any job that's urgent will be there when you get back. Just tell your boss you're not sufficiently motivated to accept this particular challenge. And anyway, if it was a good job, there wouldn't be any work connected to it, would there? Blood the saddle, blood on the ground, blood on the treetops halfway to town. I admit I was careless, but I've taken a pledge. Never again will I kill a mosquito with a 16-pound sledge. Oh, the moon is a strange shade of yellow with stripes of magenta and blue. The clouds are purple and orange, and the mist smells like an old shoe. Oh, I have a horrible headache, and I pass out every minute or two. It's okay to have a bonfire, but not in a fiberglass canoe. I often look back as I get older at the fun we had with Murphy's Boulder. It was 6 feet across, must have weighed 9 tons, round and smooth as a baby's bun. We'd leave messages on it and lean against it. It was like a friend who was solid and true. Then after dark, we'd roll it into the lake and watch boats smack into it really, really hard. Oh, there's holes in my tent and the water's dripping in. It's falling on my hat and dripping on my chin. Always remember camping lesson number 1. If you got bugs in your tent, don't shoot them with a gun. Come on, bus driver, speed up a little bit, speed up a little bit. Speed up a little bit, come on, bus driver, speed up a little bit. The cops are really gaining on us. My butterfly collection gives me so much pride. My butterfly collection makes me warm inside. The monarchs, blues, and yellows. These are beauties, man, oh man. Come and see my butterfly collection. They're all wedged in the grill of my van. Oh, there's something about a campfire that makes us all feel warm. Not just on the outside, but in many of our internal organs, it helps true friendships form. Oh, there's something about a campfire, the smoke, the smell are sublime, and it's really, really manly to burn up a forest 1 log at a time. Oh, I know a guy with a car named Sue. He was the butt of many jokes. He had named his car after his wife, 'cause it's hard to start and it smokes. Oh, sometimes I get to wondering how life unfolds by chance. How boy meets girl and then it starts with a word and a furtive glance. How a meeting that should have gone nowhere can lead to a torrid romance. How a comment and a motel key can remind you where you left your pants. The Sunday school picnic's a gala affair. Everyone treats it with pride. With bright shiny faces and 3-legged races, and nowhere the devil can hide. We got ants in the coleslaw, bugs in the meatloaf, and a big crunch when 2 kids collide. Yep. With games that injurious and food that bacterious, it's a good thing the Lord's on their side. Oh, your hands are connected to your arms. Your arms are connected to your shoulders. Your shoulders connected to your body, and your body's connected to your head. Well, your head is connected to nothing, which explains a lot. Oh, we're heading for the cottage at the break of dawn. Got our seatbelts buckled and our helmets on. Daddy's in a bad mood, Mommy's in a funk. Got the boat on the roof and the dog in the truck. Oh, we're heading to the cottage and the traffic's getting tight. Car's getting hot and there's gonna be a fight. So I'm staring out at the window, being as quiet as I get. 'Cause I don't want my last words to be, are we there yet? Sometimes when I'm sleeping outdoors at night,
Sometimes.
I count all the stars that I can see that are, in sight. It takes a long time, and it's pretty hard. And I start thinking, hey, if I'm not the one that started the argument, why am I sleeping out in the yard? We like burgers and beef ribs and rump roast and steak. We like sirloin and T-bone that makes us go snake. We also like leather for shoes and for belts. You always hurt the one you love. We're obviously quite fond of cows or wouldn't be slaughtering them so bad. He had cuts all over his chin and his neck and all the way down to his waist. The doctor went through 9 spools of thread just to put a smile back on his face. He fought back the pain, propped himself up, ate some old cheese and a cracker, and promised the doctor never again would he try shaving with a weed whacker. There's a dampness in the meadow when the old red rooster calls. There's a lot of condensation where the roof used to join the walls. There's a wetness in my mattress and puddles on the dresser. The lesson here is don't make beer if your tank can't hold the pressure. Oh, there once was a guy from the city named Dave who came up here to camp. Well, Dave never wore pajamas, and he said that was really camp. When it came time to go to bed, we heard a horrible yip, yip. While zipping up his bedroll, Dave had made a painful slip. Well, we all had a real good laugh with the exception of Dave, who now wears pajamas to cover a scar that looks like a little wee windbreaker, which is what it is. I have a little story, a sad one to tell. A fella selling sandwiches more or less accidentally dropped down the well. On his way down, he must have kicked the bucket. We asked the neighbors for help, but they just said, who cares? He spent about an hour swimming round and round. That was getting a bit annoying, and then he drowned. And that's how the salesman, he found his watery grave. But all's well that ends well, the sandwiches were saved. The knee bone connected to the head bone, the ankle bone connected to the wrist bone, the butt bone connected to the ear bone. It was the worst skateboarding accident on record. Dig, 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 boys, make that pickaxe ring. Shovel out the dirt, boys, make that pickaxe ring again a couple more times. Oh, dig, 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 boys, work hard, the big boss say, because we gotta get the septics in and operational before the men finish lunch. Oh, me and the wife were getting a divorce. It wasn't adultery that set us off course, but keeping it together was too much of a strain. When we tried to put up a new tent in the rain. So she finally ran off with the cooler, and I yelled and I cried. For the rest of our possessions, we'll just have to let the courts decide. We'll have no problem reaching a settlement, and we're sure not gonna fight over who gets to keep the GD tent. Don't stick your face in a hollow log. Don't squat on your haunches in a toxic bog. Don't lie face up in a cattle field. And don't ever date a woman named Crusher. Oh, don't go in the bushes. That's my warning to you. There are better places than shrubs to do what you want to do. No, don't go in the bushes. That's not the place to be. And if you get bitten and badly stung, don't name it after me. There are certain things you should never do. Like don't eat things that you find on your shoe. Don't have a nap in the middle of the road. And don't ever lick a toad. Don't lick a toad, don't lick it. You'd be better off to kick it, or better still, just leave it alone. It wasn't bothering you. No. Don't lick a toad, don't lick it. Just say no to toads. You can join in this.
Oh, excellent.
Don't marry a woman with this stuff between her teeth.
Her teeth.
Make sure she flosses above and beneath.
Up and down.
Regular brushing is the only good way.
Yep.
You don't wanna see what she's eaten that day.
Not for me, thank you.
Cause whenever she smiles, it's like a buffet. Don't marry a woman
With stuff between her teeth.
I'm up past the tundra where the polar bears dance.
Yeah.
I got snow in my face and ice in my pants. I'm fishing the Arctic and I just had to phone you because I caught something big.
Double pneumonia.
We go out every Friday drinking with the boys. We raise up a ruckus and make lots of noise.
Break most of our promises.
No, we break all our promises and most of our toys. Friday night drinking with the boys. Yeah, thanks, sir. Drinking with the boys. Drinking with the boys. 200 beers, each one of us destroys. I love to go drinking. Drinking with the boys. Too bad they're all dead now. Oh, Duffy's joints were loose and loud, and swear they all were breaking. He'd twist his knuckles and crack his knees, he sounded like a popcorn maker. He'd snap his back and ripple his spine, do it all with a big stupid grin. Then he slipped and fell 300 feet on a rock, and that was the last crack we heard from him. Oh, Dusty Farnsworth was a wiry codger, blind in one eye and half lame. People say he was born in a barn and raised in a poker game. One day he tried to drink all the beer in the lodge. We thought he was only bluffing. But when he was done, we said, "You must have been dry." He said, "They don't call me Dusty for nothing." Oh, we had an earthquake late last night. It shook the lodge and gave us all a fright. Hit about 9 on the Richter scale. Bounced all the contents out of the minnow pail. So we went outside till the danger passed, 'cause if the lodge goes down, it'll go down fast. But it wasn't an earthquake shaking the ground. It was a kid in a Chevette with the bass turned up way beyond any sensible level. Oh, the devil challenged Evel Knievel to a contest of impossible jumps. The winner would get a hell of a prize, and the loser would take his lumps. Oh, they jumped a canyon, a mountain and a lake, and a field of hungry boll weevils. And the devil discovered, to his surprise, he was the lesser of two evils. Oh, the sun has turned green, the trees are upside down. Everything is shaking while explosions continually pound. You cower in your bedroll, afraid you're gonna die. But it isn't the end of the world. It's just a really impressive hangover. Buttons were flying everywhere. A belt buckle bounced off the mat. A zipper ricocheted off the fishbowl. Suspender sprang at the cat. There's a lesson to be learned here. You might want to take down a note. You can have extra helpings or bend over, but you obviously can't do both. Oh, have you ever had a dream you were falling? Well, chances are you weren't really falling. Unless you fell asleep skydiving. And that's not really recommended.
You read the instructions, you know that.
Oh, my favorite tool is the adjustable wrench. It's always close at hand. Mind you, screwdrivers and chisels are okay too, but they hurt a lot more when you sit on them. Oh, when you find a guy lying in your trunk and he's gagged and he's all tied up, you probably should phone the cops right away, 'cause chances are he's not an escape artist. Oh, fingers are handy. You must understand you can do more things with your fingers than you can count on one hand. Work with them, point with them, pick with them, scratch, but if you give a big guy the finger, you may not get it back. It doesn't really matter how old and tired you grow. You always will remember that first kiss so long ago. Were you kidding? I got my first kiss from Mary Brown. It was lovely, it was sweet. I opened my lips and ate it, because it was a Halloween treat. One of them brown ones, Harold, with a black and orange wrapper. I tried to pick the best one, because I figured if I couldn't handle a treat, a trick would be out of the question. Oh, get your rods up, boys, and let your sinkers fly. Set your hooks and lures, but be sure not to catch them in any part of your eye. And I know we've had our fun with cards and jokes and beer, but if I don't go home with at least one fish, my wife won't let me come back next year.
That's true.
Oh, they're weighing the fish at the fish weigh-in down at Mercury Creek. First prize is a boat and $1,000 for the biggest fish of the week. I caught me a nice little sunfish. It's gonna make me a winner. Not from the weight of the fish itself, but from the ball bearings I fed it for dinner. Flies in the sugar bowl 2 by 2. What an unusual thing to do. Not the flies, but the 2 by 2. You don't often see insects in formation. She had big brown eyes and a nice personality. 4 great legs and an attractive hide. I remember how very, very sad we were on the day she died. But by golly, the burgers sure were good. Oh, lately the health-conscious fanatics have tried to stop us from eating anything fried. French fries and onion rings and bacon and more bacon.
Lots of bacon.
A lot of bacon in there. They tell us the grease will get our heart aching. But I do believe they've got it all wrong. Without any lubricant, nothing runs very long. If you work on an engine, you'll soon understand that the whole thing seizes up if you got no oil in your pan. Of all the things that matter in life, nothing's as important as friends. Pals that you can lean on at the beginning, middle, and end. I share my problems with my friends, because that's what friends are for. Now I owe them so much money, they tend not to come around anymore.
What?
Nothing, Harold. Oh, fruit, 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 fruit. Nature's way of making things scoot. Fun to eat and fun to throw, but if you toss them, here's something to know. I had an experience down by the beach. I nailed a guy with a rotten peach. He was a full-figured man, he could really hit. So if you were predisposed to throwing peaches, I would make sure that you, first of all, remove the pit. If you find yourself at the gates of heaven, and there doesn't seem to be anyone around, it's probably just a final test to see if you're patient, so don't just walk in and sit down. It's a guy named Georgie O'Brien, whose money was all we spent. He tried to buy whatever he could, and whatever he couldn't, he'd rent. The poor fool went bankrupt so many times he was down to his very last cents when he got hired on by the government as an advisor to the Department of Finance. If you find yourself looking for a family pet, I'd say get yourself a hog. They're smart and friendly and they won't run away, and they're a lot easier to train than a dog. And when the time comes when the dog passes on, you'll find your heart is aching. But the pain of losing a hog is eased by the bonus of all that bacon. When life has given you a taste of rejection, getting a dog is an excellent suggestion. He'll be your buddy, your servant, your friend. He'll be there when you're at the end. Makes you feel better when you're out of dough, when you've done all you can with the little you know. 'Cause no matter how far down life's ladder you go, your dog will always be one rung below. It does a man good to stop and look around at the trees and the sky and the water and the ground, the beasts on the land and the birds in the air. It's gonna take a long time for us to wreck this, but we're getting there. Oh, sometimes I get to thinking about all the mistakes I've made, about all the people I've hurt, and all the bills I haven't paid. Sometimes I get to thinking I should change and get on the ball. But then I turn on the old TV and I don't get to thinking at all. I've asked lots of men what's the thing they like most. Hunting or fishing or peanut butter on toast. The most popular answer from each time I've asked is whatever I'm doing, I like to go fast.
He likes to go fast.
Yeah. Driving a car or riding a bike. Eating my dinner or taking a hike. Speed is the thrill that makes all men glad, except when we've fallen off the roof, in which case we'd like gravity just ease off on the throttle a tad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a lot of golf balls to put in your mouth. May make you special and the envy of your friends, but the main lesson here is don't fall asleep at the driving range. Take it. Oh, get that away from there. Oh, she was a cedar strip, cruising yacht, the nicest boat I ever bought. Not concerned with how my arm would break. Woohoo! She's gone, but not forgotten. She was a good boat, but totally rotten. My love is deep. Unfortunately, so is the lake. This was my granddaddy's farm 100 years ago. He won it in a card game. Everyone else had the sense to fold. The ground is as hard as really, really hard material. The water tastes like eggs. But luckily, the government stepped in and paid him not to grow stuff, which was more or less his specialty. Grandma's mustard plaster could cure most anything. Grandma's mustard plaster, it'd make your eyeballs sting. Oh, Grandma's mustard plaster, she used it on her walls. Grandma's mustard plaster, the house looked fine, but it smelled kind of sick. Oh, the grass is wet this morning. It glitters in the sun. It soaks my shoes. It makes me muse as to whence the moisture comes. I check through all the plumbing and for leaks in the watering can. But this H2O seems to flow from the hole in the rat of my van. Oh, plants shrivel up when you walk in the room. People pull back when you're near. Animals reel, fall down and go boom. And the reason is perfectly clear. You got halitosis. It's not osmosis. It ain't no bed of roses. It's halitosis. Eyes will water, friends will fall. Halitosis is worse than having no breath at all. Oh, happy, happy people call me on the phone to tell me about some nut bar product they think I should own. If you look back through history at the cause of every war, you'll find happy, happy people, and an army of guys like me who just couldn't take it anymore. Oh, there's a happy whistling in the air. Everything's bright and clear. You burn the hair off both your arms, and there's a piece missing from the top of one ear. While you're waiting for the ambulance, you review the things you did. And the next time you start the barbecue, you'll remember to open the lid. Oh, there once was a guy named Hardhead McCall who liked to do things fast. He ran like the wind and ate the same way, always ready and fully gassed. He had a fast boat with 400 horse, I tell you, that baby could fly. But when he hit the bridge doing 110, he decided to give stopping a try. Mowing every hayfield and putting them in bales. Picking all the pea pods and putting them in pails. It's time to reap the harvest. We're going as fast as we can. Trying to get the crops in before the farmer that owns this place comes out and starts shooting at us.
Again.
I've got a terrible headache I've had all day. It throbs and it pounds and it won't go away. I got it from driving that van of mine. I'm I'm either gonna have to start wearing a seatbelt or slowing down for the speed bumps. Oh, no. Oh, the fire in my eyes could not disguise how I felt for Heather. She held my hand like I was her man and said, zip our sleeping bags together. Well, I complied in a hurry, but she said, wait, you're not worthy. And all hope of romance was killed. My love, she turned her back on, 'cause my bag was only Dacron, whereas hers was the more expensive goose down fill. There once was a girl in my high school, the prettiest girl in class. She had the nicest auburn hair, but there's no way that this line's gonna rhyme. I wanted so bad to take her out, I thought my heart would burst. But once I saw her father's biceps, I was afraid he'd take me out first. Of all the smells that are known to man, there's nothing like home cooking that can do things that nothing else can. The smell of home cooking can get you out of bed. The smell of home cooking can raise you from the half dead. I remember one day our house burned down. Down! And you could smell our home cooking all the way to town. Hi. Oh, it looks like there's trouble brewing at campsite number 10. Old man Cedric is grilling a fish and his tent's on fire again. The couple at number 15, their marriage has gone kaput. I don't mind the shouting and swearing, but their trailer bounced right on my foot. There's gunfire off in the distance at campsite number 6, which proves what we knew all along, that relatives and hunting don't mix. So I'm packing up in the morning if I stayed I'd be a lunatic, because all the shouting, swearing, and gunfire has made me unbelievably, incredibly homesick. Oh, honey, I'm very fond of you. Honey, don't you know it's true? Honey on toast or honey-do, but honey on the toilet seat is tacky.
A winnie-hoo, away, away, a humba-gumba, ah. That's the song you sing with a hornet in your shorts.
Oh, a horse with a horn is called a unicorn. Horse with stripes is called a zebra. A horse with wings is called Pegasus. And a horse with a broken leg is called glue. Oh, don't mind the flies, just close your eyes. You'll be in and out too sweet. To find where stuff goes, just follow your nose. There's a hole at the end of the seat. No need to blush, there's nothing to flush. It's a gravity feed straight to hell. But just be sure to double check the brochure, because this is definitely not a 5-star hotel. There's a funny little ditty. It's called the humming song. The humming song is pretty, but I don't know it. Sleep through the night, up with the sun, snorf down a coffee and reach for my gun. Down to the forest where all the birds fly, I blow them and blast them right out of the sky. Smell the gunpowder, hear the shots ring. When the ducks start falling, it'll make your heart sing. Hunting is heaven, it's a sport for real men. And as soon as my wound heals, I'll go hunting again. He was short and mangy and missing one ear. He ate mostly squirrels and he drank mostly beer. He looked like a rodent. He smelled like a bog. But he wasn't either, he was my hunting dog. My hunting dog was a wonderful friend, but with a slip of my safety, he come to an end. He was the best companion that I ever had. My good old dog, can't remember his name right now. King?
It was Rex.
No, it wasn't Rex.
Dave.
Oh, it was Mr. something. Mr. or was it Mrs.? Miss.
No, it was Mister.
Was it Mr.?
It was Mister. Believe me, it was a Mister.
Oh, yeah. Remember that?
Yeah. It was a weekend.
When hunting season's over, nobody's on a bender. We're too busy with ropes and duct tape, tying carcasses to fenders. A bowline or a clove hitch, it's easy to get it wrong. Like one time, a guy tied a moose to his front wheel. Looked pretty funny, spinning away out there, but it was safe until he tried to pass a cyclist. Oh, I can sing low as a bullfrog, even when they're in heat. But I can't sing as high as an eagle, because they sing at 20,000 feet. If you're happy and you know it, get up out of your chair, get in your car, and get the hell away from here as fast as you can. If you're happy and you know it, get up out of your chair, get in your car, and get the hell away from here as fast as you can.
Out of here.
If you're happy and you know it, get up out of your chair, get in your car.
All right, get in it.
Get in the
Don't
hell
sit
away from
there.
here as fast as you can.
Quicker than that even.
All right, that went well. Oh, I like honey, I like jam. I like myself just the way I am. I don't mind the pimples and I don't mind the warts, and I really don't care how bad I look in shorts. I got skinny arms and a great big nose. I got hair in my ears, hair on my toes. People say I'm ugly, but I don't make a fuss, because I always get a seat by myself on the bus.
Mama's in the kitchen, buttering the hog. Daddy's in the study, feeding brandy to the dog. Grandma and her boyfriend are sleeping kinda late. Auntie's in the pantry, putting on some weight. Oh, I love Christmas. I love Christmas.
There's a time in the evening when everything is still, when the moon's doing things that the sun never will. It's a magical time. It's good for your soul. And someone makes an incredibly rude noise and brings you back to reality.
I said I was sorry.
You killed the fire. Oh, she's full of rust and the brakes are shot. The tires are bald and she shakes a lot. She burns a lot of oil and she's hard on gas. But I got 37 more payments, so I'll be keeping her. Oh, back in the days of King Arthur, when chivalry was hot, Guinevere liked Arthur a little, but she really liked Lancelot. Every dog will have his day, Arthur told her during a fight. She said, dogs can have all the days they want as long as I get my night. Oh, your kite got caught in the high-tension wire. You thought you could get it down, so you leaned your ladder up against the pole, and you heard a funny sound. You climbed and climbed way up to the top where the ladder touched the transformer. You grabbed the wire to free your kite and you noticed your hand getting warmer. Oh, sparks flew out and away you went with one arm noticeably enlarged. Now normally the cops would make an arrest, but they could see you'd already been charged. Oh, he was a real big dog. His name was Kong. He must have weighed 300 pounds. One eye was blue and the other was gone, and he tended to do things in mounds. There wasn't a job that dog couldn't do. If you gave him the plans, he'd build it. Until he darted across the road one night, ran over a Suzuki Sidekick and killed it. Go down to the meadow a little after dark. Listen to the sound of the golden-throated, ruby-crested lark. stand by the water with your hand cupped on your ear. Listen very closely, and this is what you'll hear.
It's extinct.
Oh, the mountain is high and the valley is low. It's the laws of nature that make it so. If the valley is high and the mountain is low, you're either upside down or drunk or both. Lean to the left and lean to the right. Flop on your belly and shut your eyes tight. Hop on your haunches, jump in the air. It looks to me like that meal was a little too spicy. Oh, she worked at the local library, so we had never met. But I was out walking, it started to rain, and I'd rather be bored than wet. So I ducked inside the library door and saw her stamping some books. My decimals all got dewy when she gave me that literary look. Oh, I pretended I liked reading books as I asked her out to the dance. She classified me as fiction, and then later that moved to romance. You can't judge a book by its cover. That librarian had me astounded. She had both brains and beauty, not just well-read, but well-rounded. Love is hard to read, and librarians are often fickle. I returned her home 10 minutes late, and she had the nerve to find me a nickel. Life is like a river. It winds and ebbs and flows. It carries you along for quite a while, then it shoots water up your nose. Life is like a river. Nothing scheduled, nothing planned. You cruise along as far as you can, and at the end, you're probably damned. I've crossed the mighty desert. I've climbed the highest peaks. I've hunted in the jungle. I've worn my brother's breeks. I've seen a lot of life, from the highest to the dregs. But the greatest danger I ever faced was sharing a tent with a guy who ate pickled eggs. People thought I was line dancing when I jumped up and spun on the chair. So they joined in and did what I did, kicking one foot in the air. We danced in a line out the front door and down by the cedar grove. It turned out I wasn't line dancing at all. I had just stubbed my toe on the stove. I love seeing lipstick in various shades. From ruby red through purple into that light pink stuff that Joey Heatherson wore in her earlier days. The sight of lipstick makes my libido take action. Mind you, when Uncle Bob wears lipstick, I almost always have a completely different reaction, but still. Listen to the words of this very special song. Da 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 da. Listen very closely, then you can sing along. Da 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 da. Pay close attention, it's not as easy as it sounds. Da da da, synchronization, da da da, incremental, da da da, thermonuclear quantum physics. Da da da.
8 more times.
I don't think so.
All right.
When I was just a little lad, my father gave to me a strange and almost baffling little toy that filled my heart and parts of my lung with glee. I shook it a couple times, flipped it over once or twice, and then sort of rattled it off the old man's shin. Can you imagine my surprise when it turned out to be a bottle of gin? When a man can live alone in the woods with only his wits and a big knife for equivalent, without the comfort of a home or a job or a friend, boy, that's really something if he can live there without coming to an end. It fills his heart with so much pride. It's not exactly enjoyable, but it's a lot less humiliating than trying to borrow money. Oh, yippee-yo-yah, yahoo-wee, lady. Yippee-yi-yi-yi-yi-yi-yi. Yes, this is the song of the lonesome cowboy when he lands the wrong way on his saddle. Oh, now looking in the campfire, tell me what you see. A pile of logs and kindling, the artist formerly known as tree. Or do you see the spirit calling you like a brother? But if that spirit looks like an aerosol can, I suggest you run for cover. This is a love song, more or less, for my wife. She's the best thing, or one of the better things anyway, that's happened to me in my life. I'd say what I am because of her. But she wouldn't take that as a compliment. I find her to be perfect, or pretty close in a lot of ways. But she could back off on the criticism. That wouldn't hurt at all. Happy anniversary, Bernice. I'll tell you the story about Lumberjack Mort. He was well over 40, stocky and short. He could clear a whole forest in less than a week, but take away his bulldozer, he'd be up creek. There once was a magic workhorse, an enchanted Clydesdale named Garth. He frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Simcoe. He had 3 wishes, and he left them on the road. I stepped in one, and believe me, it's not always good when your wishes come true. At night you'll see the men sitting on the porch, chewing and spitting in the light of the propane torch. They chew and they spit till the morning light. In the future, when they eat muskrat, they'll remember to marinate it first. Ooh. Oh, I often can guess how long they've been wed by the volume at which they yell. The argument noise level goes up every year. After 10 years, you really can tell. He grunts and complains and starts to fight. He bellows and roars like a bear. And likely as not, she'll sneak off in the night to go have a quiet affair. Go down to the swamp in the summertime, cover your thighs with sludge and slime, slap them together in 3/4 time. Now you're doing the marshy bog jig, the marshy bog jig, the marshy bog jig. There's never been a dance ever this big.
Never.
You don't need lessons, just join right in, but it helps if you're pretty well hammered. Who's that hiding in my bedroll? Is it you, Mary Brown? Tucked way down where I can't see you, wanting to go to town. Who's that hiding in my bedroll? Is it someone on a flirt? I reach in and grab you down there. Oh, for gosh sakes, it's just my old shirt. In Murphy's bush, the trees are tall, with moss and fungus on them all. Murphy's bush has brambles too, with shoots and roots and swamp and goo. I may pull and you may push, but it's really, really hard to drag a dead moose through Murphy's bush. My beard is a treasure I wear on my face. If I need to hide things, it's a pretty good place. If you think having a beard is a disgrace, then what about Lincoln or Santa or Steven Spielberg? Not to mention the fact that I don't have to get up early to shave, which means that in my lifetime, I've had about 4,000 hours more sleep than most men my age. My great-granddaddy was the best of them all. Tough as a tree stump and damn near as tall. Drank and he smoked from the day he was born. Caroused and had below average hygiene, plus he ate a lot of junk food. But he was never sick a day in his life, and he lived to be almost 27. Oh, Oh, my uncle has a dairy farm, a man who likes to putter. He slipped and fell off the roof one day and landed in the butter. He flipped and flopped for an hour or more till he was rescued by his wife. She warned him that butter's bad for his health, but he claims it saved his life. At the lodge, we have a special dish. We call it newborn chili.
Chili.
It's part rabbit, so there's a hair in your soup. Part turnip, part cabbage, part chili. Oh, mix her all up with a pound of cayenne. That's newborn chili, all right. We call it newborn because it's lumpy on the bottom and it makes a rocket in the middle of the night. There's no excuse, but here comes Moose, and he hasn't got his shirt on. Like a Kodiak with his hairy back and a week and a half of dirt on. Oh, there's a big roll of fat, holds his smokes and that. It's sure not a sight to please. I'm also told that one of his rolls holds his wallet and his snowmobile keys. Oh, there's all his tattoos out there to view. Some of them are really groovy. And it's really neat when he walks down the street. It's like being at a drive-in movie. When life gets you down and you can't wait to die, when the slightest contusion brings a tear to your eye, here's what I do when things go wrong. I go on my own TV show and sing a song. Oh, well, at least I'm not a mole.
I'm all.
Thank goodness. Oh, well,
Well,
at least I'm not a mole.
oh.
Either kind. With one, I'm in a hole, completely blind. With the other, I'm a blemish on someone's behind. So put a smile on that long, long face. Unless you're a mole, in which case I apologize for this insensitive song. I'm not a malcontent in any way. I don't believe in dreaming your whole life away. But if I had one wish for the good Lord to grant, I'd wish to take a wet towel to a nudist camp. Smack, smack, smack. Oh, sorry, didn't see you there. Drip, drip, drip. I don't call it ice water for nothing. Slap, floof, ah. You don't have to spend money to have fun. That's the truth in it, Harold.
You said nudist.
Oh, I have an old car. The seats are all stained. It was old when I bought it, and that hasn't changed. I had my first date in it, my first kiss, my first pass, my first romantic encounter when I ran out of gas. My first parking infraction, my first toxic leak, and still not my first car payment, but I'm hoping to have the money together by early next week. Late in the evening when the fire is almost out, the boys start comparing, and you know what that's about. Who's bigger and who's stronger, and on it goes. Till the biggest test of all, who has the oldest clothes? Who has the oldest clothes? Who has the oldest clothes? Can't tell with your eyes, you could always use your nose. Stinky has a pair of socks older than his son. Buster has a vest he says he got from the grave of Attila Hun. When people see our wardrobe, they often wonder why. It's not that we like old clothes so much, it's just that we prefer wearing things that our wives didn't buy. Should have seen old man Sedgwick last night, dancing in the lodge by the pale moonlight. He jumped on the table and hopped through the stew. He leapt on the mantle and yelled twice and threw a shoe. He jigged on the wood stove and burned off his sock. He danced out the front door and splashed off the dock. He bounced on the bottom going way down the lake. Man, when he gets a Charlie horse, it's a dandy. I have an old wood stove, belonged to my dad. It was the best darn wood stove that he ever had.
Sure.
It hisses and cracks and burns things real bad. It belches and smokes, but then so did my dad. Does this sound in tune to you?
Yeah, except when you play it.
I remember one morning I arose from my bunk. Everybody thought I'd been sprayed by a skunk. They got the tomato juice and scrubbed me to death, but it turned out to be my breath. Oh, I had one whisker on the end of my nose, and the more I shave it, the more it grows. I waxed it and stretched it till it was 14 inches long, and then it was hit by lightning, and I was forced to rethink the whole project. Oh, the elbow is throbbing from the strength of the force. The shoulder is separated and may get a divorce. The wrist is all numb, the fingers are swollen. And if this outboard doesn't start on the next pull, she's going into the lake. They say on the river a long time ago, the paddle wheelers would come steaming to and fro. They'd wave and they'd whistle as they headed for the locks. Then they'd plow over a bunch of swimmers and wipe out all the docks. They'd leave arms and legs and deck chairs in their wake. With that much polluting, no wonder they're banned from the lake. A long time ago, and the rivers and the paddle wheelers and come.
Oh, you hear a lot of talk about spinach and soy and which one makes the perfect supper. But when it comes to that, I'll tell you, boy, you can't beat peanut butter. Easy to cut, easy to chew, and it never goes hard as a rock. Peanut butter is the one and only food so good it made Mr. Ed talk.
There once was a fella who lived around here. He made his own clothes and brewed his own beer. But the one thing about him that filled us with dread was the number of chemicals he kept in his shed. Pesticide Bob, pesticide Bob. He used whatever was right for the job. Weed killer, rat killer, rose dust and mace. He never wore gloves or a mask on his face. His manner was distant, his outlook was drab. When he died, like he smelled like a chemistry lab. We buried him deep and made sure they paid us, 'cause his corpse killed all vegetation within a 30-mile radius. Pesticide Bob. Picking apples, down at Nash's farm. I climb up the highest branch, I get a Spartan and a broken arm. 1 apple, 2 apples, 3 apples, 4 apples, 5. I never knew you could get that many apples in your mouth and still be alive. Eating apples, some from every tree. The neighbor yells, "Hey, those apples have worms."
It's okay, so do we.
Well, if you're asked on a picnic and you can't refuse, be extra careful in the sandwich you choose. Ham is okay, unless it's green and wet. Egg is dicey and sardine is a threat. If you're in doubt, don't take a chance. Only eat the food that's covered with ants. If there aren't any on it, that's an important clue, 'cause if the bugs won't eat it, then neither should you. Oh, life is a wonderful mystery. Who'd guess we could do what we've done? But until you face a pit bull in heat, you'll never know how fast you can run. Stop that. Oh, pizza in the kitchen.
Pizza in the hall.
Pizza on the carpet and halfway up the wall. Pizza in the parlor.
Pizza on the floor.
It's not actually pizza. We just forgot to put the lid on the food processor. I spied a young lady walking down the street, a pretty young thing that I chanced to meet. She wiggled her hips and batted her eyes. Can you begin to imagine my surprise? When it turned out it came to my attention, it occurred to me she wasn't young or pretty. She was a middle-aged guy in show business. I wish I'd been born a racehorse, because I'll tell you that sounds like a pretty good goal. With a trainer and a 90-pound jockey who would ride me for a minute or so. Well, I'd win the daily double, the trifecta and the exactor, 'cause I know what a stud farm is, and motivation would be a significant factor. was king. The big wheels made rolling thunder. We were treated like freight, arriving 7 hours late. I'm personally glad they're all going under. Oh, the cold, cold rain comes out of the sky. It lands on things that were formerly dry. It runs down the roof and drips from the eave and lets you know exactly where your bald spots are. Oh, the twins can sleep on the table, and Aunt Helen can sleep in the chair. Uncle Toby just sucked down my beer so he can sleep right near anywhere. As far as I'm concerned, Joyce is camped out in the boathouse. Fritz has the kitchen floor. And that brand new little baby's looking kind of dangerous so that he can sleep in the silverware drawer. Now my sisters can bunk in with Mom. I'll sleep in an orange crate. Fred and John and Bruce and Lon. Al and Tom and Joe and Don can sleep in the car and asphyxiate. It's okay to rent a cottage in the sunshine down by the lake. But telling all your friends and relatives, believe me, is a big mistake. I often think back to my younger days. I sat in school in a total daze. I remember when I showed my dad my report. He hoisted the jug and horseback a snort. It was the first time I'd ever gotten all A's. Unfortunately, the marks were out of 100. A stood for absent. Oh, a bullet comes out the end of a gun like a rocket ship hurtling through space. It travels much faster than animals run, but it doesn't go to Mars or a really far place like that, you know. Well, I prefer rockets to bullets. What? Because they make a sound that people can't hear. And a rocket won't ricochet off a boulder, do a U-turn and take off your ear. Oh, all the men up here knew her. They called her the Rose of the Lodge. She had the face of an angel and the rear end of a 53 Dodge. Oh, the Rose of the Lodge, they called her, and I'll tell you the reason for that. Her father was Bud, her mom was a climber, and she had thorns all over her back. Rosin up the stick and rosin up the bow, rosin up my leg as far as you can go. Rosin up the treetops and rosin out on the lake. Who could ever guess the consequences when an overweight person sits on a violin? Oh, life is full of mystery, things that bother you and me. Like how come everyone else is overpaid? But the biggest mystery to mice and men, it comes up in conversations again and again and again, is how in the holy blazes are sausages made? Well, they take a little of this and a bit of that, round up hooves and lots of fat, hide and hair and bone and bark and twig. Veins and arteries, gristle and grit, and they grind it up fine so that it'll all fit, crammed up into the exit ramp of a pig. Oh, hats off to my science teachers, they were absolutely right after all. 'Cause I just threw a fridge off my roof and cold air definitely falls. In the cool of the evening when the sun goes down, that's when the bunch of us can be found. Down by the campfire like so many elves, sitting here, standing there, scratching ourselves, alone or all in a bunch. Scratching ourselves. Be sure and wash your hands before lunch. My daddy was a poor sharecropper. He'd crop things and then share them. We were so poor we couldn't afford windows, but we had a door that opened a few inches. I remember the day my daddy died, he called me over to his side and he said, "Who the hell are you?" That was a disappointment. Oh, she had a rifle on her dresser, a shotgun on the floor, a pistol in her pillow, and an Uzi by the door. She had enough artillery to start a conflagration, and when she threw her arms around you, you were pretty much there for the duration. I've dated young young women, I've danced with old men, I've watered my horse again and again and again and again and again. I've rode in new cars, I've driven old trucks, but none can compare to the thrill of shooting ducks. Shooting ducks! Shooting ducks! Blast them out of the sky, blow them to mincemeat in the wink of an eye. I love shooting ducks from deep in the blind, but if I ever actually hit one, I'd likely change my mind.
Oh, we got a guy named Shorty O'Toole, stands about 4 feet zip, with an ugly face and crazy hair and a personality that's really a pip. But Shorty married a beautiful girl who worships him day and night. She could have had any man in town, but apparently she's afraid of heights.
Listen to the singing toad sing his happy song.
At the Copacabana. Sorry.
If you don't hear the singing toad, he must have sung too close to the road. When the night gets lonely and the road seems long, it's good for your soul to just burst out in song. And the lousier the singer, the louder the song. 'Cause if you sing loud enough, maybe the audience will think it's the band that's wrong. Skiing in the summer, out behind the lodge, downhill trick and slalom, landing in the bog. It's almost perfect skiing, though it's 93 degrees. It's always extremely slippery, since the government declared geese an endangered species. On a clear summer night, when the warm summer breeze comes down to the water and rustles the trees, a bunch of us meet there and strip to the buff. 'Cause boys will be boys, and enough is enough. We go skinny dipping, hop and flipping. When nature's calling, we go cannonballing. Our rate rises, the spirit soars. The moon you see might even be yours. Skinny dipping, slapping my butt on the lake. I wouldn't drink the water.
Oh, now he tells me.
There are many fine hobbies a person can do, like collecting things you find on your shoe, walking on bees, dancing with sheep. But the guys and me, we like to sleep. Sleep through the night, all night, sleep half the day. Lie back and sleep your whole life away. Up in the bunkhouse, snoring and worse. But the best sleep of all is the ride in the hearse. My friend had a sliver in the back of his arm. It was big and huge and looked like it could cause him a great deal of discomfort at some future time. So I took my needle and a vice grips and a bottle opener. I proceeded to remove the sliver with the occasional break for refreshments. Well, I dug away at it for an hour or two. Can you imagine my embarrassment when my friend pointed out that it was actually a tattoo? Sit down. Oh, don't ever get a snake bite. Don't ever dare one to strike. Don't take a snake and wrap it around your head, especially when you're riding your bike on the highway. Oh, don't ever get a snake bite, 'cause believe me, that hurts plenty. And don't drop a rattler into your shorts, but then hindsight is always 20/20. Well, this is a story about Lucy Dent. She had a husband that snored, and nothing would stop him, and nothing would help, at least nothing that Lucy could afford. They say you should wake a snorer up, so that's what Lucy did. The good news is it stopped his snoring, but Lucy now has 17 kids. There are many speedy vessels like speedboats and ski boats and that. Even a tin boat with a 25 horse can get there in nothing flat. Sailboats tend to be slower whenever the summer wind stalls, but a canoe can really get moving when you accidentally take her over the falls. Oh, there are many fond memories of growing up, talking and acting a fool. But my favorite days were spent in bed, staying home from school. My mom would bring me soup and game. She was the best mom I ever had. I would have preferred lying on the couch, but that was occupied by my dad. Oh, having respect for nature is a sport that's always in season. Like when something is called a stink bug, there's probably a pretty good reason. When you step on a stink bug, it's like a slug or snail. That's why my eyes are watering, and that's why my shoes are for sale.
Stop the whale hunt now. Put your harpoons away, or else. Stop hunting whales, that's what you should do. And as soon as Harold and I catch one, we'll quit too. Yeah.
I've seen a million wonders throughout this pretty well uneventful life, but I've never seen nothing that comes close or even remotely compares in any way, shape, or form to the storm we had last week. Oh, the wind come down like thunder, the thunder come down like wind. The rain come down like chestnuts, and the chestnuts come down like squirrels. Oh, the hailstones ripped the roof off, and the barn rolled down the hill. And that's when the sheep hit the fan, 'cause lightning hit the silo, and the entire town was covered with popcorn.
I hear the sizzle of bacon on the engine block. I see a handful of hash browns lying in my sock. I watch a stack of pancakes go rolling down the dock. Breakfast is hell when the stove blows up.
Strongman Jack was a hell of a man. If anyone can lift something, Strongman can. I remember one day, just for a prank, Jack tried to lift the holding tank. He strained and he pulled with all his might. And then there was a loud pop and his spleen come out through one of his body orifices and damn near killed the guy. There's a secret to survival that all the woodsmen know, and I'm about to pass it on to you. Never run when you can walk, never stand when you can lie, and never lie when a half-truth or, in fact, not answering at all will do. As I was walking through the woods one day, I came upon a swag man jollying on his way. He said he was waltzing Matilda to a Billy Bong, and he refused to speak English, so I nailed him. Jams and jellies and candies and sweets, nutmeg and Easter egg and assorted meats, chocolates and macaroons and various unidentified treats. I think it's time someone washed these sheets. Oh, when I was a lad, my dad would take me down to Possum Lake. We'd build a raft out of logs and empties. Then we'd lie in the sun and bake. We'd paddle out a mile or more till the shore was starting to dim. Then good old Dad would set the raft on fire, and that's how he taught me how to swim. On a warm summer's day when we're not after bass, we'd get out the van, fill her up with gas. Pull in behind a car, heading down the road. Pull up so darn close, you think we're being towed. Tailgating, tailgating. Kinda looks like the vehicles are making. Tailgating, tailgating. Just make sure your brakes are okay. In retrospect, that was an oversight on our part. Take time to read. Take time to read. That's a good deed to read. Go to the library and get out a book. They have 2 or 3 that are worth a look. If I hadn't gone, my mind would be pored. And how else could I find out so much about Curious George?
Up at the lodge, the men are full of beer and themselves and bravado and bull. They don't take no guff, they don't settle for less. So thank God for women, or we'd be in one hell of a mess. I said hell.
Lying on the boathouse, staring at the stars. No noise, no horn, no exhaust. At least none of it from cars, right? I don't let anyone up here. It's my own private little nest. But now that I've thrown my back out and I'm pretty much paralyzed from the eyebrows down, I'm valuing privacy less and less. The fish swam in like horses and jumped up on the beach. They climbed the split-leaf maple and each one gave a speech. They sang a bunch of show tunes and jumped back into the lake. It's amazing what you see up here after you bang your head really, really hard on the dock. You got your book, you hear the knock, but you don't care, the door is locked. Let them pound and yell and scream and shout. You know what they want, you know what they need, but you got there first with something to read, and they'll just have to learn to do without. The John is the only place where a man can put up his feet and turn on the fan and read a book and know what it's actually about. Oh, but don't let it go to the bitter end, because every 5 minutes you lose another friend, and they'll all be waiting to kill you when you finally come out. When it comes to the men of the lodge, our friendship lasts longer than the warranty on a Dodge. I need them and trust them, and I'm always on their side, unless the situation involves money or an attractive woman, or preferably both. The moon has magical powers to make things change in their appearance and personality. When the moon shines through the limbs of the maple tree, it can turn an admirer into a werewolf and vice versa. Oh, the moon is a mystery with magical powers, that's for sure, we know that, that's true, we know that. But hanging a moon out of the rear window of a 74 Chev doesn't turn it into a lunar module. If you tie a string to your finger to remember what might be forgot, it's a little trick that I like to call the handyman's forget-me-not knot. Just make sure it's a bit of a slip knot that'll fall off as a week goes by. Otherwise, you'll sit there with the string on your finger and never remember why. My favorite pants, I've had them for years. Comfortable like you wouldn't believe, $13.95 at Sears. Since I first got them, I've gained a few pounds. Now my gut kind of spills over top and pushes them down. My wife says they're too tight, so I just show her. They still fit me fine, they're just 8 or 9 inches lower. Oh, how smart can you be? You'll never know till you try.
Never know till you try.
How far can you go? You'll never know till you try.
Never know till you try.
Are you slow or are you quick? You'll never know until you poke a mountain lion with a stick. When my life is over and I fired my last round, take all my lures and pass them around. Have yourself a cold beer for the good times we had. Then drop me into the water supply tank right next to Dad. I've had too much coffee. Too much coffee. Way too much coffee. And that's why I'm watching TV in the middle of the night in the bathroom, if it's any of your business. Tougher than iron, not 1 ounce of fat, all sinew and muscle and blacker than black. I guess I burned the steaks again. Trapper Jack was hunting bear, a dangerous hobby at best. They brought him back to the doctor in town, and he was a heck of a mess. There was some assembly required, mostly teeth and bones and hair. Jack had always been good with a knife, but unfortunately, not quite as good as the bear. Saturday night, when the sun goes down, that's when the boys all gather around. They come and ask me, as nice as you please, if I'll entertain them with my old trick knees. I snap them, I pop them, they crunch and they crack. I slip off the caps and slide them around the back. Oh, the boys, they just love it. I feel 10 feet tall. You know, if it wasn't for my arthritis, we wouldn't have any fun at all. Well, if you ever need to prove you're a man, here's something you should try.
Should try.
See if you can climb up Tucker's Mountain when the sun is hot and high. It's 300 feet and it's all straight up, and it feels like it's gonna collapse. Tucker built the whole mountain himself, and believe me, that's a lot of beer bottle caps. Hey kids, can you turn the music up? Can you play that song a bit louder? Can you pump up the bass and the treble and increase the output power? Hey kids, can you turn up the boombox? Can you find louder music to play? 'Cause I've just done a really stupid thing, and I'd rather not hear what my wife has to say. When I was just a schoolboy, I had pens and papers and a nice-looking turtle named Mort. It really bothered me that he was slow. I was willing to overlook that he was short. We studied in East Indian culture, and I got an idea in class. I stopped feeding Mort for a month or so, because the teacher said that's how you make things fast. She was wrong. Yeah. A word to all you young ladies when you're out there looking for a mate. Find yourself an ugly guy, and that's the one you should date. 'Cause ugly guys are nicer, ugly guys are smart. Ugly guys will love you faithfully. Ugly guys are honest, and ugly guys are true. 'Cause when you got a face like the back end of a bovine, you pretty well have to be. Oh, my Uncle Joe was a handsome man with his icy cold blue eyes. But the thing that made him different, my Uncle Joe was covered with flies. Oh, Uncle Joe had lots of flies zooming around his head. I've seen other things with more flies on them, but most of them were dead. Oh, Uncle Joe was a wild, wild man. He'd drink homemade beer by the dozen. Does he act that way because of the flies, or is it Uncle Joe the one with the buzz on? Up at the lodge where the men like to play, there's noogies and wedgies at all times of day. Booby traps, cow flaps, short-sheeted beds. But don't play outrun the bullet unless you're a professional. Paddling up the river as fast as we can go. 3 fat guys in a stolen canoe. Row, you Parkers, row. Paddling up the river with a police boat in pursuit. We're still going up the river, but now it's in a van with bars on the windows and virtually no creature comforts. Oh, he pops a wheelie right by the door. The tires are smoking good. He misses a shift from second to third, and a flame pops up under the hood. He hits the wall in a 4-wheel drift, but that's the price you pay when you go to the fancy hotel in town and hand your car keys to the valet. Oh, you never see a vampire with a full-grown beard, yet a vampire can't see his reflection. So a lack of facial hair is unbelievably weird, 'cause you'd think shaving would be out of the question. He was built like a pear, kind of stocky and short. His real name was Leonard, but we just called him Wart. Nobody liked him. He was extremely obnoxious, but he was kind of fun to slap. And he always lost big at poker, so we let him stay. Well, you can see the effect of the modeling school. in the way she walks and she sits. But there simply is not a ladylike way to get rid of watermelon pits. No, you can't really hide them. There's nowhere to put them, and eating them is really tough. So I say you hork back and spit them at the waiter, and eventually he'll stop serving the stuff. Wear a smile all the while, and all your friends will name you. But wear a frown when there's a bad smell around, or all your friends will blame you. We love the words that weddings bring, love and honor and a beautiful ring. Brides and groom, maids and men, mom and dad, Barbie and Ken. But one thing's true, both near and far, two words that should never join are cash and bar. Jack went looking for firewood, so Hal went looking for Jack. Stan went looking an hour ago, and none of them ever come back. So George went out with a flare gun, and Stan went to see where they are. This is one of the complications when you camp right next door to a bar. What do you see when you look at a tree? Are you scared of the bark, or the way it's all dark? What do you see when you look at a tree? If you see me standing up to a tree, don't make a sound till I'm done. Wherever you go, I'm going with you. Whatever you do, I'll do it too. Whenever you move, I'm moving with you. 'Cause we've had an unfortunate accident involving a very powerful industrial glue. There once was a story a long time ago, a legend that only the possums know. Possums are smart and fun to throw. As long as you yell, look out below. With a whiff and all, whiff and all, whiff and all. Wombat, whiff and all, whiff and... Did you catch a whiff of that? With a
Whiff and all, whiff and all, whiff and all, wombat.
Oh, you don't say wombat that time.
Oh.
The wind came swirling out across the farm. It blew all the hair off my granny's arm. It blew the livestock down into the well. Blew the clappers off the town hall bell. It was a lesson we learned, and we learned it well. There's one heck of a lot of turbulence when you push a barn over. Oh, when you wish upon a star, make sure it's not our own sun. 'Cause wishing on our sun isn't very much fun unless your wish is to burn out your retinas. Oh, have you ever seen a wrinkled dog covered with creases and folds? Either too much skin or not enough bones. It makes them look tired.